Come on. There we go. All right. 305 writer. All right. Very nice. What's up, guys? It's your man, Donovan Sharp. We've got a great show in store for you guys today. We are going to be doing the Chop Block Sports Talk. And I think this is as good a time as any. We got a lot to talk about today. We are going to be taking your phone calls. We are going to be taking your phone calls to all one of you who are watching right now. But we're going to start this off. We're going to start today's show off with the soccer minute. And so, Miami J, let's go ahead and get this party started here, man. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show a video clip entitled "Tim Ream on Why Messi Gave Him the Stank Eye." Now, for those of you who are not familiar with who Tim Ream is, I think we all know who Messi is. Tim Ream, explain to us what's happening here before I play this video.
Sure. So the video's got nothing to do with Messi. I just want to accentuate one quote of his. They ask him about Pochettino's first training sessions and how it's been since Pochettino took over, because he finally got into camp. They had their first few days of training.
Good.
And they played their first game yesterday. They won 2-0.
2-0, baby.
I'll talk a little bit about how the team looked and all that, but I think this clip's important. It accentuates the difference to what we've had to what we have now. So,
okay.
And Tim Ream is a longtime defender for the United States.
He is.
He's the elder statesman on the team. He's been around for 34 years.
All right. Very good.
For 14 years.
First named after one says, got the notification. Holy shit, man. Hell might be freezing over. People are getting notifications. Dude, the Dallas Cowboys are getting dump trucked at home, and people are actually getting notifications for my video. And the Eagles got the win. We shouldn't have won that game, but we got the win. I'll take it. All right. Just let me know when to stop it, and I will take over. And away we go.
Yep.
Obviously, now as a MLS player as well. Welcome to MLS, and congrats first of all on all you've done over in Europe so far, and all with the national team. And now you're actually in camp. So how's it been?
It's been good. It's been an adjustment for sure. Thank you for the well.
Oh, this guy is on the team.
Yeah, Tim Ream's a long-time defender for the U.S.
Oh, wow.
He's
okay,
there right now.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah,
okay,
I know you and I had a nice little chat after the game the other day. But yeah, like I said, the camp has been good. It's been intense. I think we were out on the field today for 2 hours, which is probably the longest training session I've had with the national team in my 14 years of being in and out.
Wait,
there you can stop it. That's what I wanted to get to.
So this man just said, just so everybody, you know what? Let me rewind that, because this is what I'm prone to do. Let's listen to that one more time.
I've had with the national team it's been intense. I think we were out on the field today for 2 hours, which is probably the longest training session I've had with the national team in my 14 years of being in and out. So
wow, 14 years. So what he just told us here, Joel, is that okay, he's been with the US, he's been associated with the US men's national team for 14 years. Pochettino had him out on the pitch for 2 hours, and he says that is the longest, and I think he said the training was also intense. That was the longest he had ever been on the pitch with the U.S. national team. What does that tell you? I think that speaks more to Greg Berhalter than Pochettino. Am I wrong?
Absolutely. No. You're absolutely right. You mean to tell me that, we've been through World Cups, we've been through World Cup qualifying, Copa America. You mean to tell me that this team is practicing for under 2 hours a day?
Wow.
And that's it? I mean,
and we wonder why
that's not going to cut it.
No.
Yeah, exactly. And we wonder why they couldn't learn this quote unquote Berhalter system, etc.
Right.
It's hilarious because there was another interview with Matt Turner. I just couldn't find it.
Okay.
And he talks about how normally when they come to national team camp, they use it as a time to kind of decompress, and it sounded like it was camp.
What?
And it was hilarious because Pochettino on the first 5 minutes had them out there throwing medicine balls and running. So it's fantastic to see that we're turning a page and we have a real coach. And I think that translated on the field, because while it wasn't a perfect game from the U.S., because obviously they're still learning how Pochettino wants to play, etc., and we do have a lot of injuries. I'll talk to that in a minute. The U.S. looked like they wanted to get out there and they wanted to win. They looked like they had some fight in them. They look competent and they look sharp, which is something that we really haven't seen since the World Cup.
Right.
So, first game, we got the result 2-0. Very encouraging so far. We'll see how we do on Tuesday. We're going to Mexico.
Okay.
Now that's a game on paper that Mexico should win.
Really?
Being that it's in Mexico,
Okay.
and we're missing 8 of our starters.
What?
So, yeah, on paper,
Wow.
Mexico should win that game. If we go to Mexico and we beat Mexico, then that's a really encouraging start for Pochettino. About the injuries, we're missing. You could take the injuries that we have right now and build an entirely different team. Players like Balogun, Paredes, Gio
wow.
Reyna didn't get called in, but he is injured now.
Yeah, he's often injured though.
Yeah, he's getting to the point where we can start calling him injury prone, which is really unfortunate. You have Tyler Adams, Caleb Wiley, Carter Vickers, Serginho Dest is injured as well. So
all of those guys are
the
out.
only 2 people, or 3 if you count Tim Ream, the only 3 surefire starters that are with the team right now are Pulisic, Weston McKennie, who Pochettino benched for the last game, and Tim Ream. But yeah, it was great to see that Weston McKennie apparently showed up a little bit out of shape, and he got benched.
Okay, there you go.
Pochettino's not taking any crap, man. This is a guy that, he played with Diego Maradona. So Pochettino's not impressed by anybody's personality.
Wait, Mauricio Pochettino played with Diego Maradona?
Very early in his career.
Wow.
Yeah, very early in his career, he played with Maradona.
Who cares? He fucking played with him. That don't matter.
Exactly. He coached Mbappe and Messi and Neymar. This guy doesn't care about personality. He doesn't care who you are. He'll bench you. He doesn't give a damn.
Damn.
And I fucking love it.
It's almost like there was I remember ESPN used to do these they used to do these motion pictures. I think they did 3. That was the Dale Earnhardt story. They also did this thing called Playmakers, which was sort of it was kind of a spoof on the NFL, and the NFL didn't like it because it kept it a little bit too real. I remember there was one soccer one, and I forgot who it was about, but it was unbelievable. But there was one called the Junction Boys, and a lot of people don't realize that before Paul Bear Bryant became the legendary head coach at Alabama, he was the head coach at Texas A&M. And dude, he ran those boys into the ground. They just weren't used to it, and they got their asses kicked all season long. Eventually, they came around and won a national championship because they were battle hardened, right? It sounds to me like Pochettino is sort of putting our guys through their paces. Like, hey, we're gonna find out real quick if you really want to wear that shield on your chest, you're going to prove it here in camp. Am I wrong?
No, you're absolutely right. And like I said, I'm ecstatic about it. It's great to see that the team's finally getting an attitude adjustment, which they needed since Berhalter was there. It's good to see that they're not coming into camp to have a camp. They're actually going to get out there and they're going to work, which is something this team sorely needed. With Berhalter was very fearful of the big names. This team was notoriously ran by Christian Pulisic and Tyler Adams and this quote-unquote leadership council that he had. That doesn't exist under Pochettino. You can tell very obviously the first thing he established is that he's the man in charge and things are going to be done his way.
He's the boss.
And one of the main things that shows you that is that he didn't keep any of the old coaching staff.
Good. Get them all out of there.
You would think, conventional wisdom would tell you that he would keep somebody who already knows the players. So no, he doesn't give a damn. He's bringing in his guys, and he's going to do this shit his way, and I love it.
How did they look yesterday against Panama?
So, like I said, it wasn't a perfect game. There was,
but it's a game we were expected to win, though. Am I wrong?
Absolutely. Okay. The U.S. should have won this game, even with all the injuries that we have.
Okay.
Now, given all those injuries, it wasn't as sharp as you would like to see. Josh Sargent missed a couple of good chances. Pulisic, who's playing lights out in Italy, by the way. I think Pulisic right now, Pulisic might be playing in the league. But
Wow.
he wasn't all that sharp. There were misconnections there, but the attitude from the team and the effort that they showed and the way that they played, was very, very encouraging to see. And you tell it's a change of attitude. You could tell they had a lot more freedom out on the field, and you could tell that Pochettino was adjusting tactically as the game was
Oh,
going on, which is something Berhalter never did. So
yes.
again, very, very encouraging. And by the way, a note from yesterday,
Okay.
Brendan Aronson,
Yes.
for me, at least for me, he proved he does not belong on this team anymore. Brendan
Really?
Aronson did not have a good game at all. And I think it's time to move on from him. We have other options at the winger position that I think Pochettino will explore. And I
Aronson
think the only
actually,
reason go ahead.
go ahead. I was going to say Aronson actually looked pretty decent in the last World Cup. Am I wrong? I mean, what's
No,
happening?
he looked all right in the World Cup. The thing about Aronson is, so the U.S. is not a team that's very flashy, like say a Brazil or an
Right.
Argentina. They're not
Spain
going to
or
do ball
oh,
trips
yeah.
and things like that.
Yeah, yeah,
The
right.
thing about Aronson is that when he's on the field, he's going to put in a shift. That guy
Sure.
works harder than anyone on the field, and that
Okay.
translates into you're watching it on TV. This guy's running up and down, chasing the ball. You think he's playing well, but
Right.
you got to watch him when he has the ball, because when he has the ball, ultimately he's doing nothing with it. He usually ends up falling over or losing the ball. So
Okay.
that
All right.
technical gap right there, it's imminent, and I think we have a lot better options at the winger position,
Okay.
including Brendan's younger brother Paxton.
Oh, wow. Okay. Little
Yeah,
sibling rivalry there. Quickly,
absolutely.
Spoonanza has gifted 5 Donovan Sharp memberships in the chat. I'm
Nice.
waiting for my Don DeMarco button to work. There it is. Wait, can you guys hear that?
Yes, sir.
Oh, wow. Okay. George McFly at EP Signature, at Trey Ball, at Robert Desch, at Wushu Viking to welcome them to the TSR family. Guys, these are the first ever gifted memberships we have ever had on the Chop Block Sports Talk. CDL has gifted another 5 Donovan Sharp memberships. At Karn, at Spoonanza, at CDog402, and at Jay Stokes. As is customary, as Luke Red Pill Perry has already figured out, as is customary, the very first memberships that we get, put your age and location in the chat. The reason we do this is so that we can build communities of like-minded men. A lot of people always ask, Donovan, how can I have a group of like-minded men? It's very, very difficult. It's very, very difficult to find men who think like we do, who act like we do, et cetera, et cetera. This is the way to do it. Ken Rose with the $2 super chat. Appreciate that very, very much. Wow, boy, we are off and running. Luke Perry also says George McFly in the building. Give me 2 seconds. I do apologize. There we go. Okay.
You're good.
Now we are.
I think we should let Blaze talk. I think he's going to get bad breath from having his mouth closed.
Well, that being said, let's go ahead and get into the nitty. It's interesting. I actually find myself becoming more and more interested in soccer when we talk about it on the podcast, because I like to be informed of the things that I'm talking about, and I don't want to sound stupid. So, you do a little bit of research.
Of course.
You know how that goes. All right. So the three of us had this conversation. We had this conversation via text message a while back. And what the conversation was like was, hey, Hall of Fame running backs are something of a lost commodity. And so we started racking our brains after LaDainian Tomlinson, because I think LaDainian Tomlinson might already be in the Hall of Fame. And I might be just a little bit behind, but there aren't many running backs that are playing right now that you would consider to be future Hall of Famers, as opposed to maybe 20, 25 years ago. I remember, I'm older than the both of you guys, but I'm old enough to remember when the running back was almost always the best athlete on the field. They were almost every first down, you hand it to the running back. Craig Ironhead Hayward. Oh my God, Haywood Jeffries. It is 46-9 in favor. Oh my God, Dallas is just absolutely getting their doors blown off. Correct. They're getting smoked. And so of course, guys like Jim Brown, OJ Simpson, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Emmett Smith, from later generations, and so on and so forth. But running backs are really sort of more platoon. The two-headed monster at running back in Detroit, David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs, right? Of course, Baltimore has a sort of a two-headed running back in Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry. But one name that you brought up, Miami J, was Alvin Kamara. And I had not realized that Alvin Kamara was still in the league, and he's probably having one of his best statistical seasons, I guess, on record. So let me start with Jay Blaze here. Let's just ask the question here. Is Alvin Kamara, as of right now, if he were to retire today, is he a Hall of Famer?
Yeah, I'm going to say, like, everything on field, I would say yes.
Okay.
But he has some off the field issues that could bump him down to a second Hall of Famer. Not like a first ballot, but a second ballot.
Like a second ballot, yeah.
Yeah, I would say second ballot because they kind of like to do that with like people like T.O. and stuff. But we're getting to a point where, because of the practice rules, I think the running back will come back in the next few years because they're not practicing against running anymore.
No, they're not.
Right.
They're not. What about you, Miami J? Do you think Alvin Kamara is a Hall of Famer, first ballot, second ballot, etc.?
I do. I don't think he's a first ballot Hall of Famer like, say, Derrick Henry.
Okay.
But yeah, I think he's definitely earned it. There's only really 3 running backs playing right now that you can even consider future Hall of Famers. That's Derrick Henry, Christian McCaffrey, and Alvin Kamara. That's it. I mean, I challenge anybody to name somebody else. And that's because running backs don't have the longevity anymore.
No, they don't.
Yeah.
You remember out of that draft class of Kamara and McCaffrey, which was very heavily loaded in the running back position, you had
Derrick
guys
Henry
like
came
Kareem
out in that
Hunt.
class too, if I'm not mistaken.
I think he came out the year before, but
He might have, because he won the Heisman Trophy.
Besides
But
the
either
point.
way, okay.
Yeah. Besides the point, I mean, you had guys like Kareem Hunt who came out, like a rocket, and you thought this guy was the real deal. 2 years, he's done, and that's happening to most running backs. You gotta really dig deep and find names like Raheem Mostert nowadays to find running backs who've been in the league longer than 5 years. So I think Kamara, McCaffrey, and Derrick Henry, for their generation, they're the best of their generation, and they deserve to be there.
Connor Brown, I actually just thought about this. Connor Brown puts up there Saquon Barkley. Now, Saquon Barkley, he has future Hall of Fame potential, but he probably needs a good 5 or 6 years because I think this is his 6th or possibly 7th year in the league, marred by injuries early in his career. He clearly is still physically. He's definitely has the physical talent. Like, I mean, even though the Eagles struggled to beat the Browns today, he was probably one of the best players on the field. So we're going to go with McCaffrey, Alvin Kamara, and Derrick Henry. So I've got Alvin Kamara's career statistics up here. Let me take these down. So in his career,
before we get into that, as far as Saquon Barkley, he came out of the draft probably as the highest rated running back we've seen in a very long time. He was a hell of a prospect.
He was.
Having said that, his career hasn't really reflected that. I think he probably, to reach Hall of Fame status, he probably needs a couple rushing titles.
Yep. I think
he needs a couple of years where he absolutely dominates.
I think he needs, you know what? Now that you put it that way, I think if Saquon because never forget, there was Terrell Davis. And Terrell Davis didn't play that long, but Terrell Davis is in the Hall of Fame. Terrell Davis is one of the best running backs I ever saw. John Elway was 0 for 3 in Super Bowls and getting absolutely dump trucked in Super Bowls. You enter number 30 in orange, he wins 2 in a row, Super Bowls 31 and 32. Terrell Davis gets a gold jacket in the Hall of Fame. And a lot of people didn't like that Hall of Fame induction. I was 100% on board with that. I think longevity definitely plays a role in Hall of Fame status, but if you're like a rocket for 4, maybe 5 years, I say put him in the Hall.
Yeah.
And I would say he has the worst
that's
coaching.
How long your career spans. Sorry,
go ahead, Big Blaze.
I'd say he has the worst, Sean Payton's more of a passing guy.
Yeah.
And we have Denise Allen. Yeah. So he might have the worst coaching because McCaffrey went and he's shot off like a rocket with Shanahan, who's known for running. Yeah. And then Derrick Henry was with Vrabel, now the Ravens.
Yep.
Very run heavy.
Yep. And never forget, Kyle Shanahan's father is Mike Shanahan. And Mike Shanahan, I think he coached like 4 or 5 1,000-yard rushers. So clearly the Shanahan, so it should come as no surprise that Christian McCaffrey has thrived in a Shanahan type system. And remember, Kyle Shanahan was the offensive coordinator for the Atlanta Falcons when they were up 25 in the Super Bowl. They got Brady'd again. But I think these are very interesting stats. So Alvin Kamara has 5,829 yards rushing, 4,219 yards receiving. I think he's one of 10 players who has 4,000 yards rushing and over 4,000 yards receiving for their career. To me, that would merit him getting into the. I think you're right. I think right now he is a second ballot Hall of Famer. Yeah. But we always say the decline comes very quickly. And if I'm not mistaken, I think Alvin Kamara is 29 years old, maybe 28. Actually, I should have it right up on there. Let me look and see how old he is. Yeah, he's in his late 20s. Let me think. He's in his late 20s. How old is Alvin Kamara? He's 29. He turns 30 next July. I just remember LaDainian Tomlinson, when he turned 30, he literally fell off a cliff. Like, dude, he was in a Pro Bowl. Like, it was like he was in a Pro Bowl. He led the league at set the touchdown record, 31 touchdowns. Dude, 2 years later, he's with the New York Jets and he's on the sideline riding that, riding the exercise bike while the New York Jets are out there trying to win a championship. So let me just ask this. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say that's really what makes him so good is his versatility.
Yes,
is that today the modern running back is not just a ground and pound guy on the like Derrick Henry.
Yes,
that's what Derrick Henry is.
Yes.
He's old school. But today's modern running back needs to be able to catch the ball, take it on the sweep or run inside. He needs to be able to do everything. Another guy who's a little bit younger, but it's going to be very telling in the next couple of weeks to see how he does, is Nick Chubb. If he comes back from this injury and manages to be successful, we could be talking about him in the Hall of Fame as well.
Wow, dude, Nick Chubb absolutely has Hall of Fame talent for sure. Let's have this quick conversation. What is the threshold? What is the threshold? What as an NFL running back? I don't know if it's a statistical threshold. Jay Blaze, what do you think makes a Hall of Fame running back? Because the Pro Football Hall of Fame, to me, it's different. It really is different from all of the Hall of Famers in that you have a lot of borderline people who perceived as borderline Hall of Famers, but you talk to the players that played with or against those guys are like, yo, listen, man, he might've got in with 75% of the vote, but he's the best right guard I ever played with, or man, nobody hit me as hard as this guy, this outside linebacker. So what, in your opinion, do you think is the threshold for a running back in 2024 to say, you know what, that guy has Hall of Fame potential?
Like we saw this, we've seen running backs have like a dominant, 3 to 4 years.
Yeah.
But I think those dominant years need to have a Super Bowl attached to them.
Okay.
Or you need longevity like a Frank Gore or an Emmitt Smith.
Perfect. Yeah. Well, Emmitt Smith, who has both. He has longevity and 3 Super Bowl rings. What do you think, Miami J?
I tend to agree with Blaze. I would say maybe not necessarily Super Bowls because that's very team dependent, and Hall of Fame's an individual thing. For quarterbacks, I think that matters a lot more because you're leading an entire team. But say a couple of rushing titles, it's got to meet the eye test for long enough. I think past that 5-year barrier, if you put in a solid 7, 8, 9 years nowadays as a running back, and like I said, and you meet the eye test for all those years, and you're one of the best in the league, then you're probably in the conversation.
You probably are. So I'm going to bring up Terrell Davis's career statistics here, and I think a lot of people would be surprised not only at his statistics but how long he played. He actually played a few years long. Well, I don't know. Let's just take a look here.
It wasn't that long. I remember when he retired.
It was not that long at all. It was not that long.
Everybody was shocked.
Yeah, they were. Yeah. So, actually, let me move us off to the side here. I apologize for that. There we go.
7 seasons.
7 seasons. 95, 6, 7, 8, 9, 2000, and 2001. 7 seasons. So, in 7 seasons, 7,600 yards. So he's averaging over 1,000 yards a season. You see, in 95, 1,100, 1,500, 1,700, Then he rushed for 2,000 yards, and then he literally falls off the cliff. You see how? Do you see? So these are not Hall of Fame years right here. 99, 2000, and 2001. Terrell Davis got into the Hall of Fame because of his immediate impact on the field, and he was a fucking touchdown machine. So if you're going and just like Jay Blaze said, he's got 2 Super Bowl rings attached to that to those dominant years. I'll give you the last word on the running back Hall of Fame conversation, Jay Blaze.
I will say that I think the superior athletes are going to the quarterback and the wideout because you have longevity and you have a bigger contract possibility.
Yep.
And that could be one. And I think the training methods are vastly different.
Yep.
And that might not be working well with the running backs. I think the way you combat this is you make any running back the first 4 years incentive laden for them.
Okay.
And then they can get their big money in those 4 years because we see a lot of these running backs like Zeke. He got his big contract and he fell off a cliff. So you're just looking at him going, you're making 15 million and you're not really doing anything.
No, you're not. He was no longer motivated. It would appear that, I mean, dude, we look at Terrell Davis's statistics. Look, all of his best 4 years were his first 4 years.
Yeah.
That's it. His best 4 years were his first 4 years. And so that's really sort of what he's being judged by. Miami J, what's your that's actually a very good point that Jay Blaze just made. The best athletes no longer play running back. There's the kid up in Boise State who's going to rush for 3,000 yards. I don't know if you guys heard of that guy. There's this kid. His name is Ashton Jonty or something. This dude in 6 games has 1,200 yards rushing.
I think college is using these guys way too much too.
Yes. Yeah. He's gonna win the Heisman. He's gonna win the Heisman. Go ahead, Miami J. Final word on running backs and Halls of Fame. And I've got a good question here by the Mighty Zane. Go ahead.
Yeah. So to kind of talk about that point right now that colleges are overusing running backs. I do think the draft rules need to change. I think if you play at least 1 year of college, you should be eligible to declare for the draft. Like Maurice Claret, I don't know, the Maurice Claret case, if you remember that.
I remember that like it was yesterday.
Yeah, but I agree with Blaze, pretty much so.
Okay, very good. Excellent.
Yeah. I have nothing to add to this point.
All right. So the Mighty Zane says the Miami Dolphins need to draft Shedeur Sanders next year in the first round. Miami J, your thoughts. Listen, we know Tua's probably going to come back. He'll probably come back this season. Listen, the Dolphins are unwatchable without Tua. And I'm going to tell you something. I'll tell you something too. Incidentally enough, ironically enough, the person who looks to actually benefit the most from the Tua injury is actually Tua. Like the Dolphins are unwatchable without Tua.
Absolutely. So I think I don't know if Shedeur Sanders is the answer, but I do think they need to draft a quarterback in the first round. And I'm not sure where the Dolphins are picking, or even if we have a first round pick next year. But if they don't, they definitely need to trade for one. See, I think the only way with the salary cap to hold this team together and extend that Super Bowl window is to get rid of Tua.
Really?
Yeah. There's no way they can hold on to Tua, especially with his injury history, and keep everybody around, be able to lock down the spine of that team. So to me, if and I hate to say it because I love Tua, but with that history, with the amount of money that they're paying him, they need to move on and extend this window by a year or two.
Yeah, no, I agree. I totally agree. Pro Special says it's clear now that Tua carried his team and not McDaniel or the weapons. No, I disagree. I think it was a combination of the three. And a lot of people, and just let me know if you guys agree with this. This is the analogy that I make because a lot of people, when we get into these sports debates, well, was it Brady or Belichick? And now people think, well, it was clearly Brady. No, it wasn't just Brady. It was actually Bill Belichick too, because Tom Brady was not listen, he's won 7 Super Bowls. No one's ever going to take that away. But the first 2 or 3, he wasn't really the focal point. It was that defense that really sort of stymied the other offenses. I'm not going to say Tom Brady fell into 3 Super Bowls. You don't just fall into 3 Super Bowls. You got to do something right. But at some point, you do have to address those needs. And so the way I look at it is this: with this Tua and Mike McDaniel and this and that and the third. If I were to be in the most people know who Jeff Gordon is. If I were to get into the number 24 car and drive around the Daytona Motor Speedway, I would not win the Daytona 500. If Jeff Gordon got into Devin's old Honda and drove it around the Daytona Motor Speedway, he would not win the Daytona 500. But we put Jeff Gordon in Jeff Gordon's car. Now you have a chance. I think Tua and McDaniel, I think they made each other. I think Tua, and the sad thing about Tua, they had a chance to become a Belichick and Brady, or at least maybe a Breeze and Peyton type combination for a few years. And so I disagree with the fact that it wasn't just Tua, because let's not forget, what's his name? The defensive coordinator for the Vikings, who's probably going to win a Coach of the Year. He'll probably get another job at some point. I forgot it. Brian Flores. Brian Flores was Tua's head coach, and Tua was not that good with Brian Flores. In comes Mike McDaniel, $212 million contract, and now we're in Pro Bowls. Go ahead.
I'll add to that. The Dolphins have from the starter to the backup to now the third stringer. The Dolphins probably had the biggest talent gap from 1 to 2 and 2 to 3 than any other NFL team. But I think if we had a competent backup, Miami probably could have salvaged the season, especially given the weapons that we have.
Yeah.
So, Skylar Thompson, bless his heart, he ain't
Tua.
He ain't Tua. He ain't even close. And now the third stringer, I forgot his name. I don't even remember.
Tyler Huntley?
Something like that.
Yeah. Tyler Huntley actually made a Pro Bowl one year. I don't know how the hell
did he really?
He Pro Bowl. Yeah, he made a Pro Bowl as a backup. Remember Lamar Jackson? I think he got hurt in the middle of the season and missed like the last.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yeah, and he somehow made a Pro Bowl. So
he was like the third replacement.
Yeah.
Anyway,
he was there. He made it.
Yeah. You can if you took a quarterback like, say, Fitzpatrick, which has happened before.
Yes, it has.
The Dolphins would have been just fine.
CDL. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Blaze.
I will say Shador is someone similar to Kyler, who's very instinctual. So I think McDaniel works better with like a deadly accurate or a timing quarterback like a Kirk Cousins.
Okay.
So
that I think that's who they want to draft, like somebody like that.
I agree with that. The reason I wouldn't take Sanders is mainly, he comes with a personality.
Yeah.
Especially, the guy looking over his shoulder.
Yeah.
The last thing you want, especially from a quarterback, is for him to be a distraction.
Not only that, I remember a long time ago, and you might remember this, you guys might actually both remember this, is Bill Parcells famously said, don't be a celebrity quarterback. And that's not necessarily true these days because quarterbacks are celebrities now. Like I remember back in the day, I remember, I'll never forget, Tony Romo. They go, the Cowboys go 13-3, number 1 overall seed. They're going to go to the Super Bowl. They're going to win it. Then we see Tony Romo and Jason Witten down in Cabo with Jessica Simpson, and then they came and they laid an egg. I think it was against Seattle or something to that effect. But quarterbacks are celebrities now. But I think you can be too much of a celebrity. Shador Sanders, actually just watched him. I just watched him last night against Kansas State with no weapons. Almost pulled off another miracle. I agree with you. There's way, way, way too much look at me. Not to say that he wouldn't be a good quarterback in the NFL, but you start to question, does Shador love football or does he love what football can bring? There are a lot of guys who play in the NFL who don't love the game. They love what football can bring, and they're very good players. But that's not something you want in your quarterback. You want your quarterback who love the game, almost have like a healthy obsession, almost an obsession with the craft.
Not just that, nobody denies the guy's probably one of the most talented quarterbacks in college right now. But as we've seen time and again, talent, pure talent doesn't always translate to a successful NFL career.
No, it does not. CDL says we need Sanders in Carolina to fill up to fill up seats, our fan base is getting sodomized by front office decisions. Oh no. You know
That's
what?
a visual I did not need.
You might be right, CDL, but something tells me that Papa Sanders is not going to let Shador go to the Carolina Panthers. That is, dude. They're calling David. They call David Tepper like the Donald Sterling of the NFL without the racism.
No,
David Tepper's the worst owner in sports, man. He's crazy. SLV says, so mad that the Lions aren't using Amon-Ra as much as I wish they would. Bruh, you guys are up by 32 points, fam. Or I'm sorry, you guys are up by 38. What are you worried about?
Yeah.
Dude, my team won by the skin of its teeth, over possibly the worst team in the league.
I just want to say again, the Lions are my Super Bowl pick.
Yes, you did. And Jay Blaze's Defensive Player of the Year pick was Aiden Hutchinson, who led the league in sacks before he snapped his leg in two against the Cowboys. Here's a question for you. If you're the Detroit Lions, would you give up your win against these Cowboys to get Aiden Hutchinson back for the year, or do you keep the win?
Yeah, you do. Yeah. I think the loss of Aiden Hutchinson is good for 2 losses.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
I think he's worth 2 games. Worth 2 games. Oh my God. Oh boy. Dre Raven says sending Sanders to Carolina would be like trusting Diddy with Bieber. Oh boy. Well, okay. All right. I think we know what that means. SLV says, in terms of football done, fantasy football, I'm a Skins fan. Okay. Cowgirls got manhandled. Yes, they did. Okay, let's go to our next topic. So this was sort of a bomb that sort of went off. Unbeknownst apparently to Aaron Rodgers. So the New York Jets, they lost their. Hey, there he is. There's the baby daddy extraordinaire. So the New York Jets, they took the L to who they lose to. I forgot who they lost to already. It's been a week already. Was it
Denver?
Yeah, I think it might have been Denver. So they lose to the Denver Broncos or whatever team that they played. I don't even think it matters. The New York Jets then fired Robert Saleh. Apparently, Woody Johnson, the owner of the New York Jets, said that this was a unilateral decision that he made by himself and him alone. Robert Saleh came out and said that he was absolutely blindsided. He was absolutely shocked. I believe Robert Saleh. Aaron Rodgers says that he was shocked. I don't necessarily believe Aaron Rodgers, but, I don't know. Aaron Rodgers has gotten coaches fired before, so I'm not going to get on him for that. Jay Blaze, what are your initial thoughts on the Saleh firing? Who should really be to blame here? Or do you think Saleh deserved to be fired?
I heard afterwards part of the decision was he was wearing a Lebanon flag on his arm too.
Oh, wow.
But I was not surprised. I think he is a solid coordinator.
Yep.
But dude, sometimes you just don't have the personality for like a head coaching position. Yep. But dude, the offense is terrible.
Yeah.
They're not doing anything because they have a bad OC.
Right.
And his defense was keeping him in games. It wasn't the defense that was an issue. So it was kind of weird.
No, I think it's weird too. Miami J, what are your thoughts?
Yeah. So look, God, I just had a thought and I lost it. My bad. Hang on.
Well, that's okay. I'll chime in.
Yeah, please.
The way I see it is this. I think Saleh got a raw deal. I think he got a raw deal. But if it didn't happen now, it was probably going to happen at the end of the season. Because of course Davante Adams, his name is being floated out there. I don't think Davante Adams works in New York. Honestly, man, I think the Jets are a mess. I think they're a dumpster fire, man. I think,
which is really sad.
Really sad
because with that roster, there's really no excuse. I'm sorry. I just
no.
I got my thought back here.
Yeah,
and it just goes to show how wrong we were, because we never even mentioned. We talked about this in the preseason. Which are the coaches that are in the hot seat going into the year? This guy didn't even crack the radar.
No, he didn't.
And I'll throw out another name out there that this might be a hot take, but another name that could happen soon, maybe by the end of the year or maybe sooner. Sean McVay.
What? Sean McVay?
The Rams are 1-4. Yeah, they're 1-4. this is a what have you done for me lately league.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
yeah, he's got a Super Bowl to his name. That probably gets him a little bit
Yeah,
of
probably give
equity
him
with the front office, but I don't think anybody
And
expected the Rams to be 1-4 and the Bears to be 4-2.
And the Rams were a lot of people's Super Bowl pick. Go ahead, Blaze.
add the Browns coach to that,
Yeah.
Stefanski.
Okay.
I think he might be gone, and the GM, because dude,
Oh yes.
how do you throw away Flacco and Baker for
Oh
Deshaun?
my God, dude, dude. Flacco and Baker is lighting the fucking world on fire. Look, this just in, gentlemen. Baker Mayfield is in the MVP conversation.
Yeah.
I've got that dude on my fantasy. Dude, he has outperformed Jalen Hurts, the $50 million quarterback. We're going to talk about him in a little bit. He's outperforming Jalen Hurts by every statistical measure. He is out there lighting it up. And let's also not forget, and this is what happens when you get impulsive owners. The owner of the Cleveland Browns is Jimmy Haslam. And, rumor has it he's into some shady business dealings. Okay, whatever. We've all done shady shit. Fine, whatever. But he is a very impulsive owner, much like Woody Johnson for the New York Jets. Who's another impulsive owner? David Tepper out there in Carolina. There
Davis.
was one that I was thinking of. Who?
Mark Davis.
in Las Vegas.
And hopefully Tom Brady now getting approved for 10% ownership stake in the Las Vegas Raiders. Hopefully that sort of tempers that. But when you have Jim Irsay, another impulsive head coach, when you have impulsive head coaches that make decisions just based on what they're feeling at the time, you have internal organizational chaos. The Browns freaked out. They got rid of Baker, who was hurt for almost 2 seasons, by the way. He's off having success in Tampa and Carolina and whoever else. Meanwhile, they gave Deshaun Watson $230 million guaranteed, and he's playing like absolute dog shit. He's playing like absolute dog shit.
Yeah, I'll say this. I'm not one to believe in things like curses and things, but I really think Cleveland's cursed. Because the resurgence of Baker Mayfield just shows you that Cleveland is the place where quarterbacks go to die. There's really no excuse for them to having let him go.
I will say,
how many first-round quarterbacks have they drafted in the last 20 years?
All
At
of
least
them.
7.
All of them. They've all, dude. Oh my God, dude. Oh Jesus. Like my head is going to explode because they've had so many first-round quarterbacks. Go ahead, Blaze.
I will say this is scarcity. This is scarcity versus abundance. So, look at Sam Darnold. He went over to the San Fran for a year, and it revitalized him. And now he's in the MVP conversation. He won't win it because he's a journeyman. But and then Baker went to the Rams for a year, and that you can't tell me like Sean Vaden fixed a few things with Baker. And both those quarterbacks were on the Panthers.
Both quarterbacks on the Panthers, both quarterbacks. Guy, what Jay Blaze just pointed out there, gentlemen, what Jay Blaze just pointed out, this is the difference between stable organizations and chaotic organizations. Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield are probably 2 of maybe the top 5 front runners for MVP-ish. They both played for the Carolina Panthers. What did Carolina do? Carolina decided to go get Bryce Young, 5'9" Bryce Young, and now we're questioning whether or not he can play. Like nobody knows if Sam Darnold. Nobody knows if Bryce Young can play. I got into it with CDL a while back in terms of whether or not Sam Darnold. I'm getting it mixed up on whether or not Bryce Young is not a good quarterback. I don't know, but CDL might actually have a point because in comes Andy Dalton, and Carolina instantly looked better. Carolina and Cleveland, I think those are places now that quarterbacks go to die.
Yeah, I agree. And I think newsflash. I think Bryce Young probably can play. He's just not in the right situation for him.
I agree.
Maybe Andy Dalton's a much more seasoned quarterback.
Yeah,
he's a veteran. He knows how to adapt to a crappy team. Bryce Young just came into this league, and he's been thrown into the horrible situation.
Wow. This is interesting. CDL says supporting Lebanon in a league Jewish backed, I dare say, owned as nuts. He had your dog is he's like, oh. He said he had to have done that shit on purpose. He might have. Terrell Thomas says Doug is probably gone. I think Doug Peterson, honestly, man, they might not let him back on the plane in London. And I'll tell you
possibly.
something else too about Jacksonville. Jacksonville really got hosed with the scheduling. They are playing 3 straight games in London, and they are, what are they, 1-5 now? 1-4, 1-5. I definitely don't think that Doug Peterson. I don't think he survives the season.
And
No, I don't think so
London
either.
is their home away from home. So I think their owner wants to go to London, and I think the NFL wants him to go to London.
What do you think of that idea, Blaze?
Yeah, not just that, and these guys are pros and everything, but you know, their city did get hit with 2 hurricanes in the last 2 weeks. So
holy shit, man!
You know that can bode well.
Dude, they might have to move to. Yeah, they might actually have to move to London. I agree that I think Doug Peterson probably won't survive the season. Matt Eberflus, he's sticking around for a little longer than I imagined. Caleb Williams appears to be doing better. Surprise, surprise! You run the football. The better you run the football, the better your rookie quarterback looks. Go ahead, Blaze.
He's probably the best defensive coordinator right now, besides the Vikings. Flores.
Yeah. Brian Flores is awesome. Mike McCarthy. So they are currently getting shellacked by the Detroit Lions. However, like Sean McVay, Pro Special says, no way McVay is running a skeleton crew. Yeah, I don't agree. I think Sean McVay does have a Super Bowl ring, but never forget he's actually been to 2 Super Bowls and he won 1.
Right.
I think the Rams will give Sean McVay a little bit of time, and keep in mind he's missing his 2 best receivers, Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp, who are both on my fantasy team. Good Lord.
Let's see. You still beat me.
I don't know how. I absolutely have no idea how I even did that.
I tell you how. Marvin Harrison Jr. got hurt.
Oh, yeah.
Kevin Ridley got 9 yards.
Yeah. 9 yards. Yeah, no one's gonna win it like that. Pro Special says Baker and Flacco cooking is the best timeline right now. Daryl Clark says the Colts should just make Joe Flacco QB1. Jay Blaze, what are your thoughts on that? Anthony Richardson be healthy.
See, this is the issue with paying a quarterback like $60 million or $50 million.
Yep,
dude. Flacco has a ton of weapons around him because they're not paying a quarterback. Same with Baker; they're paying him
30.
Kirk Cousins money.
Yeah, 33. Yeah, they gave him the Kirk Cousins deal, 33 over 3 years. Yeah,
and then you look over to Dallas, and Dak only has CeeDee Lamb.
Yep,
and they don't have a running back, and you go to Dak. Really, Dak? You couldn't have taken like 40, and we could have had 20 million for like another wideout or something. And this is what the issue with bad organizations do. Like Jerry, we're paying with our third string quarterback,
Cooper.
We're paying him $8 million. No, Cooper Rush is their second string.
Oh my
Lance.
God, Trey Lance. Oh my God.
He's making $8 million. If we had paid CeeDee Lamb a year earlier, we could have saved $5 million. Dude, think about it. That's $12 million. Yeah, that's $12 million. You could have got Derrick Henry or another like solid starter. This is why you need like a good general manager to dot those I's, because that's exactly what these like the Chiefs do and stuff. They don't like money out of the building.
No,
it's just wild.
No. That's what that's a good point. Stable versus unstable. Go ahead, Miami J.
No, not just that. Not having a $50 million quarterback gives you flexibility. Right now, the Colts are in a situation where they can actually pick who's going to play.
Yep.
When you're paying a guy 50, 55 million, you have to play that guy. You have no flexibility, and you end up in a situation like Miami is, when you can barely pay for backup quarterbacks.
Yep.
And you get an injury and you're done.
Do you think the Colts should make Flacco QB1?
Right now, yeah. I think Richardson's way too inconsistent right now. He needs to, find some consistency.
Here's a little known stat. Anthony Richardson has started 26 games since high school. 26 games since high school, guys.
That's not a lot.
That is not a lot. That is not a lot. And then we wonder why Brock Purdy came into the league and set the league on fire. Why Bo Nix is doing well is because they started Dylan Gabriel out in Oregon is going to start a bunch of games. Bo Nix started 61 games. Brock Purdy, when he had Brees all out in Iowa State, he started 55, 57 games. I think, and Mitchell Trubisky, remember when the Bears drafted him, he had only started 13 games at Carolina, and we wonder why he was a bust. Anthony Richardson is a
Well, Joe did it.
Good.
Sorry, no, finish.
I was going to say Anthony Richardson is a freak athlete. He is just too raw.
Yeah, I agree because
wasn't Joe Burrow though only a starter as a senior?
No, he was a starter as a junior.
He started as a junior.
He started as
he transferred.
So he sat behind. I think he sat behind Justin Fields. He sat behind Justin Fields at Ohio State. Then Burrow transferred. Yeah, then he transferred. Yeah, he transferred to LSU. Had a decent year. And then he got Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase, and he absolutely lit the world on fire. That's probably the greatest. That might be the greatest college football team. Honestly, man, the 19 LSU Tigers might be the greatest college football team ever. Like, they were that good. They were stacked everywhere.
Because I think you have a bunch of these
2008 Gators.
I think you have a bunch of these scouts that will look at somebody's like 40 time, and if you're just a physical freak, they lose their mind. It's like a hot chick come into a bar. But you need like a solid, consistent, like 4-year like QB record, like just having those reps over and over, because we saw this with Trey Lance, we saw this with now Richardson. Dude, they don't have enough games, and they're making all these like big throws, but the layups are just they're not making any of the layups.
Yeah.
You can't make the routine. Anthony Richardson is such a freak athlete. He can make all the throws, but I don't know, man. Like, I agree with you, Jay Blaze. I think that people will get, and don't get me wrong, I understand why coaches and GMs, get enamored by, a guy's athletic ability, but you have to go. It's wait a minute. Hang on a second. Dennis Allen. Sorry about that. The Level Up Man says Dennis Allen needs to be. He says Dennis Allen needs to be launched into the sun. Damn, dude. Are they still? I think they've lost 4 in a row now. Have they? Wow. So good.
Fool's
Lord.
gold.
Yeah, fool's gold. And Jay Blaze, you called it. You called it, man. You've been calling it from the start. Let me okay.
And I will say this also happens with like defensive backs and stuff, because I'll always remember the Cowboys selected Byron Jones, who was a physical freak, but he had no idea where the ball was. Like he had no clue. But then you'll have like a guy who isn't as like physically superior, but he's just a ball hawk. Like Paul Amalo just had a sixth sense about
always
where the ball was. Yeah. And you can't measure that. Well, you just can't.
Yeah. I'll add this.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I'll add this. Yeah, teams I think need to put a lot more money into scouting, because like you were saying, the guys that freak out over these physical attributes, and really in all sports, they miss out on a ton of good players. Look, I don't know if you know the story. Christian Pulisic, the best player in U.S. soccer history at this point, he was turned down by every single MLS academy because he wasn't big enough.
Wow.
And then he went to Germany, and some real scouts saw him play. And
they're like, okay, come on through.
But if it was
that's actually I did not know that.
If it was just the physical, Christian Pulisic's not playing soccer today.
Damn, I'll be damned.
Like I will say, 10 years ago, Kyler Murray would not be in the NFL right now.
Oh, not even close.
No. Kyler Murray needs to thank Drew Brees. Drew Brees is the reason why Kyler Murray is in the NFL today.
And Russell Wilson.
And Russell Wilson. Yeah. Well, I don't know. We might have to retroactively withdraw that. Thank you.
Yeah. Early Russell Wilson.
Yeah, early Russell Wilson. Yes, early Russ. Yeah. And remember, early Russell Wilson was the beneficiary. Listen, Russell was a good quarterback, had a great team around him. That was the formula. Get a rookie quarterback who's outplaying his contract. You surround him with weapons. You go to Super Bowls.
There you go.
Nick Sirianni. I fully believe. I don't know what to think about Nick Sirianni. I really don't. I love the guy to death. I cannot be objective. He's the head coach of my team, the Eagles. I don't know if it's almost, I think Nick Sirianni is like a poor man's Dan Campbell, in that I don't really know. Like, I'm sure he delegates things, and he's not there just for no reason, right? He's obviously doing a job, But if the Eagles lose to the Browns today, I think we probably would have fired him. Am I wrong?
I don't think so. I think the Eagles are. I'm not comparing Sirianni to Saleh, but I
Sure.
think the Eagles and the Jets are very similar in that they really have no excuse
No.
with the roster that they have on paper. So something's not coming together
No.
exactly where it needs to be. And when that happens, you got to look at the head coach.
Yep.
So,
I agree.
If the Eagles don't turn it around quickly, I think he might be gone by Thanksgiving for sure.
You could be right. You could be right.
So,
Yeah.
So Don, what is his like superpower? Like we know, like, was he an offensive coordinator?
That's a superpower. Nobody really knows. Look, nobody really knows what his superpower is, but guess what? Nick Sirianni's watch, this is his 4th year. Been to the playoff 3 times. He's won the division twice. He's probably gonna, I don't know. He might not win the division this year. He will probably get to the playoffs for the 4th straight year. And so that's sort of the paradox is like, okay, we think Sirianni's the problem, and we did start 10-1 before we fell off the cliff. Still made the playoffs, right? Okay, we got blown out in the playoffs. Only 14. Look, there are 32 teams in the NFL. Only 14 teams get into the playoffs. That's less than 50% of your league. And if you are in the top half of your league year in, year out, this is why I don't endorse the firing of Mike McCarthy. I think the Dallas debacle, I don't think it has anything to do with McCarthy. I think it has everything to do with Jerry Jones and him kicking the can down the road with Dak, CD, and soon to be Micah Parsons. I think that Mike McCarthy might just be a victim of circumstance. Nick Sirianni, there is no excuse for this guy. You have the best look. The Eagles, we have the best roster in football from top to bottom because we have the best general manager in football. There's no reason we should be 3-2. Who knows? Maybe we reel off 10 straight and he saves his job. But I agree with you, Miami J. Because the Eagles did not look good at all today. We look good on a few plays. Had a Devontae Smith, A.J. Brown. Finally, they came back. Thank God for all of that. But it just like we should have blown that team out by 6 touchdowns, and it took us until we needed a first down, like a miracle first down, to salt that team away. So I don't know. I think if the Eagles keep winning, look, I'd rather win ugly than lose pretty. I just don't know what to do with Nick Sirianni because you can make an argument to keep him or fire him. You can offer to fire him because the team is underperforming, but by the same tokens, the players play. Nick Sirianni didn't drop that 3rd and 1 in the flat that Saquon Barkley dropped. He didn't miss the 47-yard field goal. He wasn't out there getting kicks blocked. He's on the sidelines calling plays, doing what he needs to do. But by the same token, it's like, okay, he's been to the playoffs every single year he's been the Eagles head coach, which leaves us asking, is it really him or is it the coordinators? It's the weirdest thing. It's the weirdest thing.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I think there's friction between him and Hurts.
Yeah.
And I almost think like his coordinators do the work in the practices and stuff. Yeah. And then they just need like a figurehead. And I don't think he's great situationally.
No.
Like, I think they made a mistake not elevating Shane Steichen instead of having him leave because he had a really good relationship with Hurts. Yeah. And ever since then, Hurts has not been the same. Hurts needs elite coaching.
Yes.
Yeah. Hey, guys, I'll be right back, okay?
Okay. Yeah, Hurts needs elite coaching. He's an elite talent, but he definitely needs elite coaching. Big Tay 85 says, so who is the coach for the New York Jets now? So their defensive coordinator, Jeff Ulbrich, is going to be their interim head coach. I think he's going to be the interim head coach until the end of the season. I don't know what that solves. I don't know if they think that's going to solve anything. I will say this. I think that Robert Saleh was the best coach in that building, and they got rid of the best coach in the building. I think the 2 main problems are Aaron Rodgers and Nathaniel Hackett. I don't know why. Now, Jeff Ulbrich has already laid the smackdown. He's already told Aaron Rodgers, Nathaniel Hackett he's not going to be doing the play calling. Like, no, we're putting that in somebody else's hands. So who knows? Maybe we'll see a different offensive philosophy. But one thing's for certain now, Jay Blaze, there are no more excuses for number 8 in green. This is all on him. There's nobody else to blame. There's nowhere to run. There's nowhere to hide. We got you your receivers. We got your buddies. We got Nathaniel Hackett. We let you come back for another season, repaired that Achilles tendon. Garrett Wilson is doing. I mean, like, dude, we beefed up the offensive line. It's time to put up or shut up for Aaron Rodgers. I'll give you the last word.
And dude, he looks haggard. He looks like he just does not want to be there. Like,
no.
And this is why they like if you're bringing a guy in, like look at Brady. He had an older coach, like a veteran coach that could actually like he knew how to handle like primo talent. Dude, Saul is like what in his maybe third or fourth year?
He's like 38. Yeah, I think he's he's older than Rodgers. He's younger than Rodgers.
He didn't know how to deal with it. Like, and I feel bad for him. But you need like a Caldwell or somebody like that's been through everything.
Been around the block, right?
Yeah.
No, I totally agree. I think that I don't know. I don't think Jeff Ulbrich is going to. I don't think he's the long-term solution in New York. I think Jeff Ulbrich is actually a pretty good defensive coordinator. I think he'll probably keep that. I think he'll probably keep that decision. What coach do you think could possibly work? Let's just say you could snap your fingers and make XYZ person the head coach of the New York Jets. Who do you make? Which coach who either is or could come available is the best coach for the New York Jets?
Well, I like available. I would say
available or could come available. Like, for instance, like maybe a Nick Sirianni or a Mike McCarthy or a Matt Eberflus, somebody like that, or a Dennis Allen.
Available, I would say either Belichick or Vrabel. But then you still need
that's
Vrabel.
It.
But you still need
Vrabel is the answer. That's it. Category closed. I had not even thought of that. Vrabel's the guy.
Yeah.
Vrabel is the guy. That's wow. I had not even thought of Mike Vrabel.
That's a really good shout.
Wow. Yeah. I think Vrabel, dude, if I'm Woody Johnson, here's what I do if I'm Woody Johnson. Let this all play out the string. This is going to be Aaron Rodgers' last season. Get rid of Tyron Smith. He's old and beat up. I say blow this whole thing up, hire Mike Vrabel, and start all over again.
Yeah.
I still can't believe Tennessee let him go.
Well, you know who else Tennessee let go? They let go AJ fucking Brown. He went to the Eagles and had a career year. Now he's making $32 a year. Matter of fact, Tennessee fired their GM after the Eagles took him behind the woodshed with the Detroit Lions. Man, the Detroit Lions, man, what a win!
Talk about a poorly run organization.
Oh my God, it's just and they're starving for a winner, man. I'm telling you. It is very difficult to win with bad ownership, man. It's the reason why the Cowboys have not been. This is why they haven't sniffed an NFC title game in almost 30 years. This is just how it works, man. It's just how it works. CDL says, I agree, Donovan. Aaron Rodgers is probably distracted by all of those recreational dispensaries up there. Dude looks like pure stoned shit out there. You know, one thing. Oh, there's Nick Sirianni firing up his team. All right, bet. Okay, we were just talking about your boy. Look, man, Aaron Rodgers, he is just a different type dude. Guys like him, Kyrie Irving, they're just all kind of kooky madookie, which is fine, you know, but you can't have that in your quarterback, dude. This is why Aaron Rodgers is, and I remember Colin Cowherd made this comparison. Aaron Rodgers is the artist. He's hyper talented, but he's kind of wonky. You know, he's just a weirdo. Golden arm talent, first ballot Hall of Famer, but I think it's clear that Aaron Rodgers at this point in his career is probably a coach killer.
I will say, I think he's a step behind what he used to be, and I think he did need his legs to make a few of his plays.
Absolutely.
And I don't think he has the legs anymore.
Nope. Absolutely.
And we're going to see this with Kyler Murray. We're going to see these even more with Kyler Murray or Lamar Jackson, where when their legs are gone,
that's it.
It's it.
That's it. Speaking of which, Jalen Hurts. So Jalen Hurts, since Shane Steichen has left, signed a 5-year, $252 million contract. He currently makes $50.5 million per season. He has not played that way. Jalen Hurts' best season was clearly 2022. When of course he was the MVP, he was an MVP candidate. If he doesn't get hurt against Chicago, he probably wins the MVP. He was the best player on the field in Super Bowl 57, but it has not gone well since. Miami J, is Jalen Hurts overpaid? Unpause yourself. Or I said unpause yourself.
Sorry about that.
Oh,
The
sorry about that.
short answer is yes.
Yeah.
But I'm the guy that pretty much thinks everybody not named Patrick Mahomes is overpaid at the quarterback
Okay, that's
position.
fair.
We've talked about this ad nauseum. I think most quarterbacks, Tua, Love,
Yeah.
sure
Okay.
as hell Prescott, they're all
Okay,
overpaid.
so relative to where he is in the financial hierarchy of quarterback.
Yeah, relative to that, yeah, he is overpaid.
Okay, I agree.
I don't think he's proven, that he's got it yet. He's surely talented.
Sure.
But I'm not sure the full package is there.
I think Jalen Hurts is playing. I think he deserves the Baker Mayfield contract. Now, who knows? He could turn it all around and he could be worth, he could be a $50 million quarterback. But right now, Baker Mayfield is the one playing like the $50 million quarterback. Yeah. And Jalen Hurts is the guy playing like the $30 million a year quarterback. And oh, by the way, this is a distinction that you do not want to have as an NFL quarterback. We all know all about the turnovers. The only quarterback in the NFL that has more turnovers than Jalen Hurts this season is Will Levis. And I think we all agree that Will Levis is probably the worst quarterback in NFL history. Probably a little hyperbole.
Will Levis has no situational awareness whatsoever.
No, he just doesn't. He is absolutely
phenomenal. I will say Jalen, I think, is a product of his coaching. If he has an elite coach around him, he will be elite. Like Shane Steichen. Now, would the Colts trade Jalen Hurts for Joe Flacco right now?
Would the Colts do it?
I don't think the Colts let Flacco go.
Well,
somebody like Flacco's a very, very, very valuable commodity.
Yeah, but Joe Flacco is 57 years old. You never know when he's going to walk away for. I mean, listen, it's all fun and games when you come into the season. You're kind of the dad of the NFL. Nobody expects anything of you. You're playing free and laughing easy. What happens if they make him QB1? What's going to happen then? Because let's not forget, Joe Flacco got his job taken away by Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson came into camp and outplayed Flacco, who looked like he didn't even want to be there.
Well, sure, but Lamar Jackson's not Jalen. I mean, Jalen Hurts is not Lamar Jackson.
No, he's not.
Lamar Jackson's easily top 5.
I think the Colts would. I think the Colts would do it. I don't think the Eagles would. I don't think the Eagles would trade. I don't think the Eagles would. I don't know if they do if it were like a straight up swap. That's never going to happen because I take Jalen over Flacco any day of the week. But just like we said, coaching matters. What would Jalen Hurts look like in Indianapolis with Shane Steichen as his head coach? Right? You never know, because Joe Flacco certainly looks good.
You know where I think it could actually be a good spot for Jalen Hurts?
Where's that?
Miami.
I don't think his style fits with him, but
I think it could.
He's not like Tua's. We all said Tua's superpower is his accuracy.
And well, I mean, he's not Tua, but I think his talents could fit. You'd need to change the system around a little bit.
Okay. All right.
But I think he and McDaniels will make a good team also.
Yeah, I still think Mac Jones should go to Miami.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I'll buy that. Dude, I love it. That's great.
I'll buy that.
Pro Special says top 3 offensive line, stud running back, 2 number 1 receivers. He probably has the best supporting cast in the NFL. Oh my God. Big Tay 85 says, did you see the Aiden Hutchinson injury at the Detroit and Dallas game today? Unfortunately, I did.
I haven't seen it yet. Is there any way we can bring it up on screen?
Oh my, nah. Well,
no.
I don't think so.
I mean, I'm looking it up on Bleacher Report now, but
oh my God, oh my goodness, that was absolutely crazy. Oh my God, dude.
And that's awful. Like, Michigan kid.
Yeah. He'll be, I mean, he'll come back and just a fucking freak accident. No, it's not letting me. I don't know. It'll probably start making its way onto the internet at some point.
And their window is wide open right now.
God, Detroit is that team, dude. Dude, they just absolutely dump trucked the Dallas Cowboys on the road, dude.
Beat them down like it was nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
They could have taken them out.
Yeah, dude, what are you doing in the game up 32? That's what you were saying, man. So it's like, I guess you wanted to finish them off. Last topic of the day, very interesting topic. I did not realize this until you said something about it, Miami J. You said that Roger Goodell floated possibly hosting a Super Bowl overseas.
To correct, that was Jay Blaze that brought that.
Oh, that was Jay Blaze. So
yeah.
What do you think?
I think it's a horrible idea.
Okay, why is that?
I mean, it's gonna get viewers. It's gonna fill the seats, but the NFL audience is still 99% American. What the hell are you doing in Spain or London or wherever the hell you end up?
Yeah,
Super Bowl's American. It's not like the World Cup that gets 1.3 billion viewers.
Sure,
98% of the viewers of the Super Bowl are Americans.
That's right. Yeah,
so
it's American sport. I don't know. I think he's overreaching on this. Listen, it's a nice idea, but yeah, I mean, dude, when I think of Super Bowls, I think of Pasadena, I think of Atlanta, I think New Orleans, Houston. Where's another frequent Super Bowl site? Yeah, I mean Miami. And not only that, if you're gonna play a Super Bowl overseas, now you got to deal with the time zone issues. The Super Bowl, we all know that the Super Bowl kicks off every year right around 6:15 Eastern Standard Time. People aren't going to watch. People are going to want to watch a Super Bowl at 10:30 in the morning. Like it's just
not just that. I mean, even if you have it at the right time in the East, you're going to host it in the home country at midnight.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, you got to keep.
I mean, that's ridiculous.
What do you think?
Like, say you have it in London, dude. Usually the Super Bowl is on at 6 o'clock, so you can do the pregame, you can do the postgame, and people are still saying, I can still go to bed at 10. But dude, this is how greedy the NFL is, because now they want to. So right now with the Super Bowl, they will get offers. They will field offers from teams to have the Super Bowl in that town.
Oh my
God.
God.
They want London and Spain and all these countries to make it sort of like the World Cup, where they make offers too.
Okay.
And so this is what they want. They want
sport.
Immense amounts of money.
Yeah, you're right. How much? Like, dude, what can you do with $3 billion that you can't do with $2 billion? I mean, I understand him trying to grow the game. And look, the Sao Paulo game where the Eagles played the Packers, that was a success. Fans in the stadium, fans know the game. But I agree, Super Bowl football, American, I don't know. Maybe I'm a little bit biased here, and I think Miami J, you're probably the most qualified to speak on this. It's and I'm probably totally wrong on this. I think that American football is the most popular sport in any one country in the world, right?
Yeah.
I think football, now this is just my opinion, football is more popular in America than any other sport is in any other country. But soccer, everyone loves soccer. So am I right or am I wrong here? Because here's what football is. Football is, let's keep it real. Football is a 6-month holiday in America, man. We talk about it 24/7. There's always transactions going on. People's lives change. People live and die with the game. But same with soccer. So I don't know. Your ear to the ground, Miami J. What do you think?
Look, I'm not sure if it's accurate to say that football's more popular in America than, say, Brazil, than soccer is in Brazil or England. That's kind of a hard thing to measure.
Yeah. Okay.
I know kids in Brazil, they're born with a ball at their feet. I don't care what family they come from.
Wow.
So, soccer by far is the most popular sport worldwide.
Okay.
Having said that, football's a 6-month holiday in the United States, but worldwide soccer season starts in late July and it ends in early May. So, and in the middle there, you have international tournaments. Soccer never stops.
Okay.
So, that's pretty much a year-long holiday for everybody else.
And maybe, I think, what, it's interesting. I think one of the reasons why football is so popular is because of the scarcity, right?
Maybe, yeah.
Soccer is year-round. Now, when the Super Bowl ends, I don't know, after about a month, we start to get a little bit restless. Then baseball comes around, dude.
Yeah.
By the time the All-Star break is over for baseball, we're clamoring. We're like crackheads. We're looking for any sort of video, training camp, whatever the case may be. And then, of course, we kick off. We're in front of the TV for the holiday.
And I will say the NFL is masterful at their marketing and building up to the season.
This is
They do it so better than
100%.
anybody else.
This is why
The
Roger
only-
Goodell keeps getting raises from the owners. This is why they
Absolutely.
keep giving him raises, because he's making everybody money.
The only organization that I think can stand up to the NFL in marketing is ironically FIFA.
Oh shit! Oh, that looks worse than I
Yeah,
thought.
I just saw the Hutchinson injury and I sent it to you.
I don't.
That looks
show that.
yeah, bro. That looked bad. That broke in
Oh,
at least
that
two
did.
places too.
Yo!
I will say
Ooh, I
the
can't even
NFL's greed will be their downfall, because
that-
think about it, they're going for the Peacock thing. That
Yep.
how much did they make? They sold it for 100 million.
Yeah,
You
wasn't
have
it the Bills and the Dolphins on that Peacock playoff game or something like
Yeah.
that.
Chiefs Dolphins.
Chiefs Dolphins,
Yeah,
yeah.
Chiefs
The
Dolphins.
The
Super
really
Bowl
cold game.
Got it. Yeah, right.
So they did that, and dude, think about the level of quarterback play across the league. It's going down, and you're gonna need like Shanahan and McVay. You almost think you got to send them the quarterbacks before
Yeah.
they even go into the
Yes.
league,
Yeah.
because dude, you need like high level quarterback play with the rules
Shanahan,
being
McVay,
this.
McDaniel, guys like that.
Yeah.
Steichen.
You almost say, let's send them for a year and then send them in the draft, but you would need to compensate them with like draft picks.
Sure.
But the level of QB play, and then they're changing all these rules with the NFL, so
Yeah.
they're diluting the game,
Yeah.
but they're still trying to make a bunch of money. And like, think about this, like this is years down the road, but look at what happened with Live Golf. If you can get some of these Saudi billionaires
Oh.
in the overseas, like financing some of these spring league teams, and think about all those billionaires, if they can get some of those teams, and then you make it a rule similar to the MLS or FIFA, where you can take like the worst two teams, like say the worst managed NFL teams, like
promotion relegation.
Pepper.
The Jacksonville Jack. Oh, and Miami J. You've actually talked about that before.
Yeah. I think it's a fantastic idea. I would love it.
If you take Tepper and like who's another horrible owner, you
David
take two of those
Tepper,
teams.
Jimmy Haslam up in Cleveland, Jim Irsay out in Indianapolis, who's probably going to croak over from a drug overdose at some point.
Because there was some kind of consequence for being last instead of just getting rewarded with the number one pick.
I like that.
There are only like 5 to 6 teams that are vying for a Super Bowl.
Right.
Like we see this across the league. If you made it so they can no longer get into their the money pool, and they are forced out of the league, you're going to have the level of competition go even higher.
Wow.
And so that could help it.
You know what? And here's another issue it's not really an issue. It's kind of like a victim of their own success. We can't forget NFL owners are businessmen first. They didn't come in as the owner of the Cincinnati Bengals. The Brown family, that's another poorly run. Oh my God, that is a poorly run organization. They got to pay Jamar Chase right now. They're stupid. I can't believe they haven't paid this kid yet. But these owners, and see, Donald Sterling figured this out back in the late 80s when he bought the Clippers. He says, "Oh, wait a minute. I don't have to provide a winning product, and I can still make money." Right? We don't want think about the owner and the ownership in Washington now. The ownership has completely changed that organization. It used to be Dan Snyder. They got his ass up out of there. Now it's Josh somebody. Now they've got Jaden Daniels and Terry McLaurin and Austin Eckler, and they're first place I think they're still first place in the NFC. They probably are the best team in the NFC East right now. And so ownership absolutely matters.
Yeah.
But I agree with you. I think that now, do you think that would dissuade some owners from, are owners competitive business wise or sports wise?
I think both.
That's a tough.
Because that's the problem with a franchise model like we have in American sports. Both Major League Soccer and the NFL and the NBA and everywhere. These are closed leagues where the league is essentially looking out for the financial benefit of the owner.
Right.
It should be the other way around.
Right.
The owners and the clubs and the teams should have to, I don't want to say pay the NFL, but they should have to somehow buy into the league.
Yeah.
and have to meet certain requirements to stay in the league.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be the other way around. So,
And
that's
think about
really
this.
the only way that you can have a promotion relegation system, whether in soccer or football.
Okay. All right, go ahead, Blaze.
We only have the NFL, and then we have the springtime. So there's no competition for the with the soccer. You have MLS, you have a bunch of programs where you can say, "Hey, I'm sick of your product here. I'm gonna go over here." And same with the NBA. Like they have a few like Euro soccer league, Euro basketball leagues. Dude, like if the NFL had a competitor, you would not have the crazy
real
greed or anything like that.
Yeah.
So if you had a couple of these Saudi billionaires like actually make a
come in and buy off like a Patrick Mahomes type of player, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or
and Blaze, go ahead, Blaze.
Because right now the only competition is the college, so you don't even have to pay off of Patrick Mahomes. All you need to do is get a couple of these kids with the NIL, and if you get a couple of Saudi billionaires, instead of paying these guys $1 million, you pay them $5 million, and then they go into their league after the college.
Yeah,
and then that's exactly what the golf did. Live Golf offered these golfers an insane amount of money.
Ridiculous.
And now
you couldn't say no.
Yeah, and 5 years later, all the live golfers are coming back.
Yep.
Because they need them.
Yep.
And so you would do that the same way. They could take the draft class from 5 years, and then the NFL would be like, we need to make a deal. That's all it would take for these Saudi billionaires.
Wow.
That's all it would take.
Yeah.
5 years of paying these guys.
Blaze brought up a great point, and the competition aspect absolutely has a ton to do with it.
Yeah.
Little stat to back up your point. Right now, soccer is the third most watched sport in the United States, behind football and basketball. However, Major League Soccer is the third most watched league. So it's actually the Mexican League is number 1, and the Premier League in England is number 2.
Oh, I did not know that. Okay.
Yeah. So soccer is very, very popular. While the MLS hasn't really caught up. But we're not going to talk about the problems with MLS. I could do a whole episode on that. But yeah, no, that's a great point. Competition. There should absolutely be some competition to the NFL. It used to be the Canadian, the CFL.
Oh yeah, the CFL. And
now
now
you had at one point you had NFL Europe even.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which they didn't meet the quality, and they didn't meet the standards of the NFL.
Sure.
But at the very least, there was something else, and there was another place that has been players could go and try to make a name for themselves again. Doug Flutie came from the CFL.
Yeah, the CFL almost works, and I think the CFL is probably. I don't know. The UFL looks to be good. You got a couple of guys. I mean, Jake Bates, who kicked in the UFL for the Michigan Panthers, now kicks for the Lions. That's a cool story. There have been so many leagues that have tried to match the juggernaut that is the NFL.
And you know what? Honestly, if the NBA can subsidize the WNBA for 20 plus years, the NFL can subsidize a second division.
Dude. Yeah. Right. But again, there's that greed. The NFL is not going to do that. Sidney Brown says, don't forget, the NFL kidnapped Christmas from the NBA again this year. Greed will be their downfall. I disagree. Yeah. I don't think the NFL kidnapped Christmas from the NBA. No. I think the NBA fucked up and gave Christmas to the NFL.
Yeah.
The NBA and their politics and their social justice warrioring and all the messaging, and they tried that shit in football with the whole Colin Kaepernick thing. They got him the fuck up out of there. They're like, nah, man, we ain't doing none of that shit here. We're about football first, and all that other. You guys can have all that other shit. The NBA has leaned heavily into that, and that's why they've lost Christmas, not because the NFL is greedy.
Mm-hmm.
And he said greed will be their downfall. What is the downfall for the NFL? The NFL is not going to fail ever.
No.
The NFL is not going anywhere. Not going anywhere. We've been playing this game since 50, probably even sooner than that. The NFL is absolutely a juggernaut. It is a $1 billion business in one of the smallest countries in the world. We're the most economically successful country in the world. This is why football is king. The NFL is not going anywhere.
No, look, and so what if they're greedy?
Who gives a shit?
Okay, if they're greedy, they're only going to get bigger, and that's only going to cause them to put out an even better product.
Here you go. Pigs
So-
get fed. Look, pigs get fed. Hogs get slaughtered. Except for the NFL. The NFL just seems to be immune. Dude, even when Donald Trump tried to sue the NFL for antitrust, he won that case in Supreme Court. You know what they awarded him? They awarded him $3, and the USFL folded just like that overnight. The NFL's not going anywhere.
No.
I don't know what downfall Sidney Brown is talking about. You lost me on that one. NFL's not going nowhere.
No,
And
not just that. It's impossible to take down an organization like the NFL. At these, it's like somebody trying to take down FIFA. You just can't do it.
No, you're not doing it.
Dude,
football is America. Football is as American as fucking unprotected sex, apple pie, and steroids, man. Like, this is what we do. This is just what the fuck we do. Well, maybe not the unprotected sex part. Leave that to the French.
Look at the NBA. They have literally tried everything to hamstring their organization with politics and stuff.
Jesus.
But still, the scarcity of ESPN, they still paid billions to air the NBA, even though it's nowhere near as popular as it used to be.
Yeah.
And
the NFL's inventory, I think of the 4 major sports, if I'm not mistaken, the NFL has the smallest inventory of games. Am I wrong?
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right.
NHL is 82. Major League Baseball is 160 something. NBA is 82. NFL is 17 games. You get
MLS
games.
is like 45.
Something. Yeah, right. I mean, it's dude, the inventory, the NFL, and now the NFL is talking about an 18 game season. If there's and Devin and I, we were talking about this earlier. I think if there's an 18 game season, there should be a double bye. You should get 2 buys.
I agree.
18 games are crazy.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. I mean, you had enough pushback from the NFLPA about 17 games, so I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon.
George McFly made about the respect, George, but he made about the dumbest comment I think I've ever seen. He says the NFL and the NBA will be dead leagues in 20 years. Fam, dude.
Wait, I want to see where that goes. George, please tell us what's going to replace the NFL and the NBA.
Seriously, come on, man. Like, what?
Like, there are no replacements. I will say their ratings will go down if they don't do some fixing.
Okay.
But the only way you can kill either team is if another highly rich the Saudis pay off the people coming into the league. If they can get some of the college players for 5 years straight, if the top recruits go into that league instead, and then they force a merger with the NFL, that's the only way.
George McFly says young men aren't that interested in sports anymore. George,
it doesn't matter.
You are living under. Oh my God, dude, bro.
Let me say this. I'm not going to speak to the NBA because honestly, I don't follow basketball that closely, and I don't know that much about the internal workings of it. But at least the NFL, the one event, the one catalyst that could possibly knock down the NFL a peg, maybe, that you could see in the next 20 years is the 2026 World Cup. And I'm sorry, I'm the biggest optimist about soccer growth in America.
Okay.
We're not knocking off the NFL.
No.
The NFL is going to remain number 1. I don't care how popular soccer or any other sport becomes.
Yeah, that's
in fact, the only other sport that can rival the NFL, it's college football.
Yeah, right.
So football's staying where it is.
Here's something that will put this into perspective for George McFly. And George probably isn't a sports fan, so I don't want to really go in on him because we live, we eat, we live and breathe this stuff. If any league were going to go defunct in the next 20 years, it would not that it would ever happen, but it would probably be most likely baseball. The average age of Major League Baseball fans, 53. 53 years old is the average age of Major League Baseball fan. The average NBA fan, 38 years old. The average NFL fan is 27 years old. Dude, you turn on any television, any college pro football game, there are children being born with Texas Longhorns. I mean, no, football is not going nowhere. And it's funny, back in 2013, they tried to take down football with all this concussion bullshit. Never even happened. The NFL settled it out, and that was that. Go ahead.
I will say it's not in danger of disappearing. I think maybe it's more in danger of becoming kind of like a regional thing. The NHL wouldn't be far behind.
Yeah, the
I think.
NHL. Well, I mean, the NHL. Well,
Don't get me wrong; they're not going anywhere.
Now tell the Canadians that. You tell the
No,
Canadians,
exactly.
the NHL.
That's why I'm
they'll be
saying
like,
it's
no
not going to
way.
disappear.
I
It's not
can't
going to
believe what just came
disappear.
out of
It
your mouth.
just the risk would be that it just becomes more of a regional, popularity in certain regions. But either way, neither Major League Baseball nor the NHL nor the NBA, they're not going anywhere.
Yeah. So George McFly. So I can't. I'm not entertaining this. You don't know.
He says sports will be irrelevant in 20 years. Baseball's on life support.
He's talking to talk. He's just talking to talk. He's just being a troll. So it is.
He's incorrect because look at the deal the NBA just got from ESPN. Exactly. All these contracts are just massive because people want entertainment. Yep. And look at what happened to Hollywood. The Hollywood collapse is helping sports.
I agree.
Because people want to be entertained.
I totally agree.
Let's talk about sports as a whole. Television networks are paying exorbitant amounts of money to host these things.
Billions of dollars, man.
Saudi Arabia is ready to plunk down $300 billion for the 2034 World Cup.
Whoa! No.
So, don't tell me that sports are going to be irrelevant in 20 years. There's no way.
Look, we're on the 32nd Olympiad, dude. We've been playing the Olympics for 2,000 years. Humans' inherent need for physical competition, George, that's not going anywhere. Honestly, you sound like a Sigma male. You honestly sound like. Let's just bring in the red pill here.
Even before organized sports, you had the Coliseum, people watching the gladiators. Yes. Those were the sports of the time.
Yes.
So there's always been some kind of competitive entertainment or competitive sports or competition out there. For it's a need of humanity.
Do you know what will never, ever go away? We might see pickleball go away. We might see this sport. Gladiator sports are never leaving. Gladiator sport. Football is a gladiator sport. Boxing is a gladiator sport.
Absolutely.
MMA, we like to see large athletic humans challenging each other physically. We've been doing that for thousands of years. I'm not going to let some knucklehead trying to ruin this conversation. Sports are going to be irrelevant in 20 years. Dude, go out and touch the grass.
UFC is not going anywhere.
Oh, no. UFC's
and that's a newer sport, actually. So that's actually
picked up where left off.
Yeah, the growth of UFC has been impressive, and they're not going anywhere either.
Yep, that's it. Last comment of the day says the only thing that would be changed into sports is women's NFL football in the future. Why you think NFL and NBA is going over? That's the dumbest comment I've ever heard. Like sports will be irrelevant. Young men don't play sports anymore. Fam, are you watching college football? Do you? Oh God, that was ridiculous. Guys, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
The only way women's football would be a thing if you had like super hot models and it was the lingerie bowls.
You remember that? They had that for a while. Yes. It was Arena League.
Oh yeah.
It was.
George says, "I love sports." I'm just being honest. No, you don't love sports, George, because if you love sports, you would have more knowledge about them. And right now, you're just speaking straight ignorance. It's ridiculous. Yeah. Sidney Brown replied. Oh, now this is good. He says, you may have a work stoppage in MLB in 2 years. The regional sports network lack thereof is an issue of mega contracts once out of this offseason. I got news for you, Sidney Brown. The NFL survived a strike back in 1982. Major League Baseball survived a strike back in 1994. Sports aren't going nowhere, fam. I'm sorry. Okay, so there's a work stoppage in Major League Baseball. Okay, so we missed a World Series. Who won the 1994 World Series? Nobody. Who won the 1995 World Series? The Atlanta Braves. Life goes on after work stoppages. Guys, it's clear that we have some very novice sports fans. Yes, there are some very bad things that can happen in sports that can damage sports. They're not going nowhere. Man. They're growing up bigger, faster, stronger, more technology. The contracts are getting bigger. No.
Look, saying sports are going away is like saying television shows or movies are going away. They ain't going nowhere, man. Come on.
If you love sports, you would know that what you're saying is just absolute crazy.
Yeah.
CDL with the $2 super chat says, women playing football in thongs are a godsend. I disagree. I'd rather see him getting.
I remember tuning my TV and finding the lingerie football league. As much as I love watching how women run around, dude, that was the cheapest marketing ploy I've ever seen. It was retarded.
But we all
Sorry,
lied.
ridiculous. Forgive
Like,
me.
what is wrong with
YouTube.
me? I don't want to watch this. I have to watch this. Oh,
I know.
fucking goddess.
It was cheap, but it worked.
Oh my God, yes it did. And those bitches
Yeah.
were bad. Holy shit, man.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So that's gonna do it for this edition of the Chop Block Sports Talk. Join me in roughly a half an hour, and it's probably closer to 10 minutes now. You guys can follow or jump over to Rumble. I'm going to be doing a Sunday after evening Love is Blind breakdown. You guys can thank King Life for that. I had some personal shit that I was dealing with on Friday, and that all kind of came to a head yesterday. You guys know all about that. But everything is good. Jay Blaze, dude, great show, man. Final word, final thoughts.
Just the Cowboys are terrible, and which I knew they would be. And I'm going to be dealing with this for the next 4 years of Dak's contract because he is a mediocre quarterback that you were paying top money, which that was a mistake. But hey, what can you do?
Oh boy, suffer.
And my fantasy team's awful.
Oh no, dude. Usually when the Eagles are awful, I'm usually doing good in fantasy, and then when the Eagles do well, I do shitty in fantasy. So far, I think I'm doing okay in fantasy and okay with the Eagles, but I need one of my teams needs to fucking step up. I don't care if it's the Eagles or the Silver City Piranhas. I need fucking doubles out this motherfucker. Miami J, what you got?
Well, first off, the Cowboys suck.
Yes.
But no, I'm rooting for Daniel Jones hard today so I can beat you up in fantasy.
Oh yeah.
But
wait,
you know,
hold on. Whoa, hold on. Your quarterback is dude, relying on Daniel Jones is almost
exactly
as stupid as me starting Zach Wilson against the Cowboys against you.
Yeah,
last
I
year.
know, but my other quarterback was Anthony Richardson, and we all know how that went.
Oh, ooh.
But anyway, I'll close it out with this.
I've got Baker Mayfield if you're interested. Just putting it out there.
I might be.
What you got, man? Let me know something.
We'll talk later this week.
All right.
But I'll say this, as always, I'm doing my part to try to, if even for a little bit, grow soccer in the United States.
Yeah, let's do it, man.
So the U.S. plays on Tuesday against Mexico. Big game. If y'all can, please tune in to watch. At the very least.
We're not expected to win that game because we have injuries to 8 of our 11 starters.
Absolutely, yeah. There should be an even game. On paper, I think Mexico should win it.
Okay.
Especially given that it's in Mexico. We haven't won in Mexico in over 12 years.
What?
And we've only won in Mexico one time in our history. So if we can pull out this win,
God damn.
Hey, that's a really good sign.
Okay. All right. Well,
yeah.
I'm pulling for our guys. Shout out to dude, CDL, Dr. B84, Spoonanza, who gifted 5 memberships, CDL, who gifted 5 memberships, Ken Rose with a super chat, who also gifted a membership, CDL, who had this $2 super chat earlier that says women playing football in thongs are God sent. I'll give it up for that one. I'll give it up for that one because I did. I watched. That is going to do it for this. I think this is the 7th edition of the Chop Block Sports Talk. We will see you guys right back here next week.
Later.
Later.